So my loving, caring neighbors moved away to Florida, and it broke my heart into a zillion pieces. And how well did I know them? Well, I didn't know them at all, except that they were probably Indians. I don't know. I mean, I'm not good at telling whether or not somebody is an Indian. But this family had a mother, a father, one other older lady, and 4 daughters, the oldest being about 10 years old, the youngest being like 2 to 3. I really didn't talk to the mother that much, but the father one night caught me being like locked outside of my apartment one night after a long work shift, and he offered me like chips and water, and just a really overall sweet man. I'd catch him in the middle of his smoke breaks and be like, hey, how's it going? And just shoot the breeze for like, I don't know, 10 seconds before we parted. But a majority of my interaction with this family was with the 4 daughters, and they were just so friggin' adorable. Like, I didn't really interact with them that much, but I mean, yeah, it was mostly just, you know, smiling and waving, you know, passing by, but it meant the world to me. Like, the one thing that happened mostly would be, oh, okay, I need groceries because my fridge is empty. I'm gonna go across the street to the grocery store. And on the way out of the building, you know, I would see the girls playing out in the front lawn of said building, and like, we all lived in the same building, but like separate apartments, obviously. But like they'd be playing on their scooters, playing basketball, riding their bikes around, and you know, I'd be walking on the sidewalk, passing them by, and it'd just be all smiles and waves. Hey, how's it going? I kind of felt like an uncle or something. But that would be about the extent of our relationship. Ooh, need groceries. Hey, how's it going, guys? Bye. But there were 3 sweet things that they did for me. First one being, they knocked at my door trying to sell raffle tickets for school or something like that. Well, maybe, yeah, it was just the 10-year-old, the oldest of the bunch, and I think her mom was with her, if I remember right. And I just found it to be so freaking adorable because she was like doing her best to tell me why, you know, she was selling the tickets to me, and she was just like staring at her tickets the whole time, just looking down like, yeah, hey, I'm just selling my tickets, you know, like, and her mom was kind of like talking her through it, and I think she was like, yeah, it's just for her school, blah, blah, and I was like, yeah, sure, here's some money. But, I mean, I felt like I was rewarding her for her courage, and that gave me so much, you know, uplifting, you know, feeling, and yeah, so that's thing number 1. Thing number 2, or maybe the raffle tickets was the second thing. Well, I heard the doorbell ring and echo throughout my apartment, and I jolted to my feet when I heard it, and I went to the peephole to make sure that I wasn't being punked. And I looked through the peephole and I saw 4 little girls that looked even littler because that's just how peepholes work. I opened the door and it was just the 4 girls on the floor just wrestling around and talking over each other, and I wondered, where are your parents, you know? Like, I'd want my kids to be safe, but I brushed it off and I said, hey. The 10-year-old took charge. Like, the rest of the girls fell silent, and she just approached me with confidence and said, hey, would you like to buy some of our slime? We have all shapes, sizes, colors, and glitter, some without glitter. And at this point, I sat down in my doorway because I just knew that I was going to buy some, and I ended up completing their circle into the hallway. And also, she said all of what I just explained to you a lot better than I just did. Like, she was just a little salesman. She even went as far as to tell me that she could modify the slime as to how sticky it was. And really, I'm new to this. It's like, I'm not used to people, you know, ringing my doorbell and trying to sell me slime, you know, already made slime. And so I just went to pick up any random one. I was like, oh, okay, this purple one looks alright. So I went to pick it up, and she's like, oof, oh, it's sticking to my hand. And I was like, hey, could I get this a little less sticky? You know, it's sticking in my hands like poop, you know, it won't come off. But the very youngest one wasn't having it. It was like, hey, could you have this less sticky for me? And the 3-year-old's like, no. And then I was like, okay. And then I went to pick up a different slime, and then I was like, how about that one? And she was like, no. I was like, can I have that one less sticky? No. I couldn't stop laughing. and I like lost my composure. Like, it was just so freaking adorable. If you would have heard her voice, if you were there, you would have freaking laughed all the same probably. And in the middle of her telling me no, the 10-year-old yet again, she's, you know, on the prowl to make sure that I'm a happy customer. She picks up the slime that I originally asked to be on Sticky, and she picks up the gobs by her own hand. She's taking that glob, and then she's doing, you know, patting it on my hand to get all the sticky, you know, slime off of me, and it was just the sweetest thing. Like, you know, she's being interactive, she's being nice. She was, you know, she was in the middle of all this. She was apologizing, you know, for her younger sister saying no to me, and I was like, oh no, it's okay, man. Like, the oldest one even offered me a carrying case, and it's like, well, to this day, I don't think I have it anymore. I'm pretty sure I threw it all away just because, you know, I get to be a boring adult, and I'm like, yeah, hey, this is taking up space, you know. But in the end, I gave them, you know, more money than they asked for. They wanted $2. I gave them like 15 because I wanted them to split up, you know, a bigger sum of money because they were just so charming, and I just loved them, and you know they deserve it. One more thing before I mention the third sweet thing that they did for me. One day, I was getting ready for work. I looked out the window and I saw that the youngest was trying to sell her pink bike with the training wheels. And I was like, okay, what's going on with that? Like, I didn't know she was selling it. She was just standing out by the curb in the front yard. It's like, okay. So I get ready. I'm on my way to work, and then I asked her what was going on. Like, what you doing? You know, like, I don't even see your parents out here. Like, that concerns me a little bit. And she was like, I'm selling my bike for $2. And in my mind, I was like, oh, man, no, don't sell your bike. You need that. And so I was like, you know what? I'll be right back. I went to work and I let them know what was going on. And then I ran back to my apartment. I grabbed a couple of singles, you know, and then I live in the second level. They lived on the main level. So as I'm coming down the stairs, the little girl's on her way inside, and I was like, hey. And, you know, I flagged her down, and I did the best I could to lean over the railing to hand her the $2, and she was like, thank you, and she went home. And as I walked out going towards work, I saw that the bike was still out there. To this day, I haven't seen that bike, so she probably sold it anyway, but it's whatever, you know? I think it's the thought that matters. Also, I just found their bikes out back, and, you know, they moved away already, so yeah. They never got rid of them. And now for the third and final sweet thing that they did for me. Well, about 6 days ago, I want to say, I heard a knock at my door, and I answered it. Sure enough, I'm pretty sure it was the mom with her second oldest daughter. Her daughter was carrying like a bag or something like that. Didn't know what the significance was. And I just kind of looked at the mom, and I was like, hi, how's it going? And the mom is like, moving to Florida, something like that. And she doesn't speak English. I failed to mention that earlier. But I was pretty dramatic about it. Man, I didn't like cry per se, but I was like, oh my god, no. Yeah, on the inside I was that way, but my, you know, outside was like, oh my god, really? No. You know, like, so I'm pretty upset about that. I was like, oh man, no way, like, this sucks. And I didn't tell her that. I'm happy for them very much, you know, I want them to be happy. But eventually the little girl is wavering and stuff, and she's like going to hand me the bag, and turns out it was a giant bag of fruit, okay? Like a giant bag of fruit, like bigger than the usual adult would carry. And she was wavering and hanging onto it, barely, you know, just, you know. And I went to grab the bag, like, okay, you're giving this to me, and she's like, nope, and she wanted me to hold my hand out for her to put the grocery bag handle on, and she did it. Like, she's such incredible strength right there. Like, man, though, like, that was it. That was the end of the interaction, really. I told them I love them, and I did some in return for them. I, you know, gave them some money and a Thanksgiving card, and, you know, bid them safe travels, thanking them for being my neighbors, you know, and And on their final day, I got a big hug from the father, and I didn't want to, like, hug the daughters. I did want to hug the daughters, but, like, you know, I didn't want to have that creepy, weird vibe thing going on. Like, it's whatever, you know? Like, you want to do things, but it's like you don't want to be depicted as, like, a weirdo or creep. So, yeah, that's it. Like, you know what? It's fine. Like, I got to hug the father, that's good enough. And I'm glad that they were all smiles on the way out the door, moving their stuff out. And, you know, it was nice to see them as much as I did before they left. And, you know, they, on the way out, you know, they're gone for good now. And they left this in their front yard. It's a Chuck E. Cheese basketball. And I'm going to keep this in remembrance of them. And yeah, they're gone for good, so it's not like stealing, right? It's whatever, but thank you guys so much for listening to me talk about, you know, things that matter in my life. And, you know, people, it's like, you don't know what you have good until it's gone. Like, it doesn't matter how grateful you are. Once it's gone, that's when you really start to sink in on, wow, I really took that for granted, you know? And I feel like I did. Like, you know, I would play on my skateboard when they were out there, you know, playing on their bikes and skateboards and stuff. Like, you know, I didn't talk to them. I couldn't. Like, I don't like being weird. I don't like talking to children without their, you know, parents being present. And because, you know, it gives me that sense of security. Like, okay, here we go. You know, they're being cool with everything. So that's that. But anyway, you guys have a great rest of your day. It's going on nighttime. I love you so much. And thank you for watching. Also, just a quick shout out to a Rayon Plays, if that's how you pronounce his name, his username correctly. He does Let's Plays and he does animations. And I found a lot of his stuff to be funny and entertaining. So if you want to go check him out, I promised him I would shout him out. So I want to try to be a man in my word, even though it's been months since I told him I'd do it. But I finally did your shout out, dude, so there you go. And sorry it took so long.